Welcome back, boss. This is part 2 in a video series that is going to show you what you need to know for building a team for your business. Hiring is so important, and I get that when you're a newer entrepreneur, or maybe you're not quite profitable enough where you feel like you're ready to hire, this can be a bit of a stretch. Also, when you're at that point where you have a team, but you still feel like everything is falling on your shoulders and you need to make the next level hires, that's another place where you kind of feel the stretch and the pull. So in part 1 of this series, we talked about the 4 different types of hires, hiring budgets, how to figure out what's the next right hire for you. And in this video, we're going to go through the logistics of how do you post the job? Where do you post the job? Do you need an independent contractor or an employee? How do you onboard? How do you train? How do you manage and make sure that your team stays really full of high performers? So this again is going to be a very detail-rich video. I invite you to watch until the end and not miss any of it, because there is nothing worse than hiring someone on your team and just feeling like you turned into the babysitter and now you're paying money out, but you're not getting the value back in. I don't want any of you to have that mistake or that pain point. So make sure that you listen and take really copious notes. I'm Amy Walker. If you are new to the channel, I'm a small business strategist, and I invite you to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and make sure that you hit the bell so you can get notified every time we release new content. So we left off part 1 with a decision of who should be your first hire. Now the question that I want you to ask yourself is, should this hire be an independent contractor or an employee? You can do a simple search in Google on differences between an employee and an independent contractor, and it will give you the full list. And I just recommend that you read the list and you follow the list. There are some really clear-cut cases where it just needs to be an employee, like you are having them work inside of your office space, you're setting their schedule, you're setting their procedures of how they do everything. That's going to be an in-person employee, and you need to get them set up accordingly. Now, a lot of us these days have virtual teams. My team is all virtual. We live in a small town in Georgia. Nobody works at our house. Everybody is setting their own schedules. They're kind of all doing their own thing, and they work for other people as well, providing a similar service. So our team are all independent contractors, and that works really well for our business. But you just need to look and see what is the best for you, because if you do it wrong, what will happen is someone can complain to the Department of Labor, and then they can come and give you a fine because your independent contractors really should have been employees. So just look at the rules and follow them. The next thing that I want you to look at is what can be done overseas versus what needs to be done in your local area. I have a team that is based in the US, and I have team members that are based in the Philippines. I've made several videos on why I like hiring in the Philippines. You're welcome to go watch those. But one of the things that is really helpful that I love is that the cost of living is lower in the Philippines and a dollar goes farther. So I'm able to pay a lower rate there than what I would pay here. And then I can use those savings to be able to pay more here and get a little bit better talent and have happier employees, because I'm not always at the bottom of the hiring rate. I'm kind of in the middle. And that allows me to be able to stretch my dollars further. I also love that I get to get lots of different types of support instead of feeling like I'm always squeezing in on how much help that I can get. For example, I used to try to keep my own financials in order, and I'm not that good at it. But I can find someone really talented. In fact, we have our best finance assistant ever, and she is working for us about 3 to 5 hours a week. And she keeps everything in order. So the fact that I don't have to hire just one person to do all of the tasks, and I can kind of segment out all the things that I need, it's allowed me to get a lot more support without my overall payroll going up to an astronomical amount. We still have a pretty reasonable payroll, and it keeps our expenses low. So hiring outside of the US is going to allow you to get more help than if you're trying to hire everybody in your local market. Now we're ready to actually hire. I am a big believer in the hire slow, fire fast concept. You want to take your time to make sure you get the right person on your team. But if you have someone on your team that is not a fit, you need to move them into a position where they can succeed or get them off the team as fast as possible. One of the worst things you can do as a leader is allow somebody to be on the team that's not a team player, that's not creating a positive vibe and supporting the culture, but really is dragging everyone else down. It's unfair to your great team members to allow mediocre team members to have a spot on the team. It weighs everything down. So what does that actually look like to hire slow? Here's my hiring process. Number one, you're going to actually copyright your job post. Write a good job post. If you need to hire someone to do this for you, do it. But that job needs to look appealing. It needs to stand out, because the way that people apply for jobs right now is they just go to Indeed, they look for all the jobs, and then they just click apply, 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 apply. There's not a lot of customization. They're applying for high volumes of jobs just to see what comes back. What we want to do is make our jobs stand out so that we can get more applications and overall expand the pool of people. So write a good, compelling job post that highlights all of the amazing things about the opportunity of working for you. And you have to be creative, because you're not going to be able to compete as a small business with the big benefits packages of some of the larger companies. Once you've posted the job, if you've done a good job with the post, you'll get a lot of applicants starting to come in. I always give my job post a 24-hour rule. If in the first 24 hours it's not getting traction, I go back and I rewrite the job post and I put it up again, and then make sure that it's actually getting applications. About 50% of them you are not going to be interested in at all. It's a very clear, very quick no. This can be discouraging to people who are inexperienced with hiring, because they feel like, I'm getting all of these junk applicants. It's just normal. We just need to delete them and let them go. Out of the 50% that are left, I would say about half of them are going to be like, okay, maybe I'm interested. And you're almost trying to talk yourself into being interested. And then you're going to have about half that you're actually really interested in. I like to take that half and move them forward to the next step. Whenever possible, I do a group interview. The group interview saves me a ton of time. There's nothing worse than filling my schedule with 20-minute interviews and having half of the people not show up, and then I've wasted that time, or having people show up and they're not really interested in the job because it's not what they were expecting. I like to get all of that weeded through in the beginning by doing a group interview. Now, there are two places where I don't do group interviews because I've just found that they don't work well. One is when I'm hiring in the Philippines. It's just not culturally normal for them, and it makes them really uncomfortable and nervous. And then the second is with salespeople. They are a little bit independent and they march to the beat of their own drum, and they don't do well in a group interview. But other than that, I love the group interview. It saves me a ton of time. And in that, I can really share with them everything that they need to know about the job, about the company, about our culture. I can kind of get a first impression feel of who I might be interested in talking with or not. And then from there, we schedule one-on-one interviews. Once we get to the one-on-one interview, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for them to be a skill fit, that they can do the things I need them to do. And I'm also looking for them to be a culture fit, that they are going to fit in with the company and they are going to add to the positive vibe. And they're not going to feel like an energy vampire for me or anyone else on the team. After that, we're going to go into the skills assessment. Everybody can say how great they are at something, but until you actually prove it, we don't know. So I always like to assess the skills. And that's going to look different depending on the different positions. When I hire business coaches for my program, I give them case studies of different businesses with different challenges, and I ask them to write out the business plan. And then I look and see, is that business plan viable? Is it going to work? If I'm hiring a salesperson, we are doing role plays on the phone and I'm throwing different scenarios at them. If I'm hiring a graphic designer, I'm going to give them some graphics to design. If I'm hiring a copywriter, I'm going to give them some articles that I want them to research and write. If I am going to if they're creating something that's potentially usable for me, I'm going to pay them for that one project. If it's like role playing on the phone, I'm not going to pay them for that time. That's just an extension of a second interview. But once I'm actually having them produce work, I am going to have them I'm going to pay them for that time. But if I'm having them actually produce work, I'll pay them for a small project. Once that comes back and I can see that this person really is going to work out, then I'm going to offer the position, we're going to negotiate, and we're going to move into onboarding. If these hiring tips are helpful and you want more strategies to grow your business, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you can get notified every time we release new content. And go ahead and give me a like, leave me a comment, and introduce yourself. I'd love to get to know you better. Onboarding is an important phase because it's the very first time that they start to interact with your company. So if your onboarding is messy and there's a lot of back and forth, it can be challenging and sets a bad first impression. I am currently working on an onboarding one sheet where there's a checklist of everything that the new person needs to do with links of all of the things that we need them to fill out, so that onboarding process is really smooth and simple, and it makes everything easy for everyone. When it comes to training, here's what I have found with training. Long training days are ineffective. What I like to do is I like to train for a couple of hours, and then I like to put them to work for a couple of hours. Then I bring them back and we review the work that they've done. That allows them to take a concept and then go and implement, and then that's where it really solidifies. Nobody really knows how to do anything until they've tried to do it. Especially with salespeople, the faster I can get them talking to people, the faster that they feel confident and comfortable. The longer it takes to get them on the phones, the more scared they are when they get on the phones, and the longer it takes them to be successful. So I like to break up my training over about a week. Instead of trying to do 2 full days, I'll break it up over a week. We'll train for a couple of hours, then they'll work, then we'll review. Train, work, review every single day. The other thing that I recommend doing is that you record how to do all of the things that they need to do, and you have a video checklist for them where if they need to know, how do I input a new lead? Here's the video that shows them how to do it. How do I move someone from one lead stage to a next? Here's the video that shows them how to do it. So it helps once they've gone through everything and they still have those few things that they're like, how do I do this? They can go back and they can watch that segment of the recording. Not all new hires are going to work out. Even with all this effort that we've put into it, we want to know who's making it, and we want to know pretty early on. I don't expect new team members to be at a level 10 on day 1, but I do expect them to get to a level 10 over the course of however long it takes to train a new person. What I like to do is have a scale up plan. The scale up plan details out a week by week progression of where I want them to be in order to see, is this person making it? The worst thing that you can do is go through all of this trouble of hiring and get somebody who's like, but you're just keeping them around because you don't want to go through the hassle of rehiring again. If you can see after week 1 or week 2 that they're not a fit, you still have your second and third choice that you could go back to if you fire quickly. So that scale up plan of this is where they should be at week 1, this is where they should be at week 2, and then week 3, that allows you to be able to see really quickly if this person is working out or not. Now, if after week 1, they're not where I need them to be, I tell them. If after week 2, they're not where I need to be, I'm going to reach back out to my second and third choices. I'm going to give them 1 more week in order to get up to schedule. But if they're not at week 3, I'm going to make the shift. Now, even the best hires need great management. We all need great management. So how do you do that? What that's going to look like is weekly having team meetings. You don't have to meet with every single team member in your organization each week, but everybody should be a part of a really good, productive team meeting that provides training, that provides feedback, that provides praise and celebration, and that also goes over goals, objectives, and areas that we need to improve this week. Then once a month, I want there to be a bigger goal setting and accountability reporting session where we really look at, did we do everything we set out to do last month? Have we accomplished all of our goals? I also recommend that you do quarterly performance reviews. These performance reviews are going to give you the chance to really look at how people are doing, and you'll never be surprised by someone quitting because you'll be able to see really clearly, are they responding to your request for improvement? Are they happy in their position? Are they feeling overwhelmed by it? Are they still engaged and excited and interested? Are you seeing the energy start to wane? Those quarterly performance reviews help you to be able to keep your team on track and also allows you to know when someone is starting to diminish in their performance, and that will let you know that you should start looking for somebody. Open up. I mean, what's the worst thing that happened? You have a performance review with somebody and you think they're waning. You open up the position, you get a lot of applications, and now you have great people. If they don't leave for 6 months, you still have great people there. But if their performance starts to dip, you don't feel like you're beholden to that person just because you don't have anyone to replace them. You have good applicants and you can keep them on stock and reach out when you are ready to hire. I hope that these tips are helpful. If you would like more support as a small business owner, please come join our private Facebook group, Acquire. We love helping and supporting you in that process of growing your business, being a better leader. And if you are digging this content, I recommend that you go watch the next video in the Like a Boss playlist so that you can keep the momentum going and become that truly amazing boss that I know you can be.